In this picture, Matthias de Ligt is thinking, and he's thinking about where his next move will be. Will it be Bayern Munich? Will it be Chelsea? Will he leave Juventus? Will he leave Turin, his hometown, now in the past few years? Well, let's get into it. So in terms of the news that we've just had, we've seen that Bayern Munich have even agreed personal terms with Matthias de Ligt. Hasan Salihamidzic has had another masterclass. He's had a very good window. And it's reported that Bayern has even been looking at de Ligt for a few years, that Salihamidzic has remained in contact with de Ligt during this time period, which de Ligt appreciated, and also that Bayern tried to sign him from Ajax back in 2019 when he was initially signed by Juventus from Ajax. However, in this situation, Chelsea are also a club looking to make this transfer, and Chelsea are apparently able to pay a higher fee than Bayern. However, de Ligt, as a Bayern fan and as a man with some common sense, he wants to go to Bayern over Chelsea. So Bayern have the upper hand in this race, even if they don't have the financial muscle to outpower Chelsea in a transfer arm wrestle, let's say. So the price will be about 70 million for de Ligt, and this is a lot for a centre back, to be honest. We saw that Lucas Hernandez came here for 80 million, and he's been great, but has he really been 80 million? Has he been almost $100 million worth? I don't think so. So you always have a worry when paying these high fees for a transfer. Also, you look at Harry Maguire, he was also around 70 to 80 million, but of course he's Harry Maguire, he's slabhead, he's terrible. So it wasn't much of a surprise there. But for Bayern, 70 million is also a really, really lot, more so than maybe the oil clubs like Chelsea. And Bayern, of course, will need to replace Lewandowski when Lewandowski leaves. And they're also quite stacked in centre-back position. So is it really worth paying this 70 million, this 80 million for de Ligt? I'm not so sure. However, on the flip side, Pavard could be used as a counterweight in this transfer. Pavard has been said to want to be a defensive leader in one of the top clubs, but understandably, given his shocking, shambolic performances in recent times, he's not considered that by Bayern bosses at Bayern. So he could be looking for a move away to a European club like Juventus. And therefore he could offset some of the transfer fee. It could be, for example, 40 million plus 30 million in Pavard in the swap deal. But why this transfer does make sense and why Bayern should go for this transfer, in my opinion, is we've seen that de Ligt holds his heart in Munich. He's been a Bayern fan since his childhood, and even 3 years ago he wanted to join Bayern. And we need players like that who actually want to come here, who want to stay here, who want to build a future, who want to build and shape an era at FC Bayern Munich. And de Ligt is one of those guys. And we saw those Lewandowski statements, those ludicrous, fallacious statements saying what player would want to come to Bayern now that they've done this to Lewandowski. De Ligt wants to come to Bayern. De Ligt may be coming to Bayern, and he really wants to come to his childhood team. And I think that it's really important to have someone with passion, with the Mia San Mia, like you see on the hat, that mentality. We are who we are. It's FC Bayern. And I think that for this reason, de Ligt could be signed and should be signed. But also, he's reported to be not super interested in getting one of the top salaries. And I think this shows his maturity. He's only 22 years old, but he already knows it's better to build a future instead of going down the lines of someone like Ousmane Dembele, who in the short term, they may get more money in the contract, but in the long term, they'll maybe play bad, they're not playing for the correct club, etc. He wants the right club, he wants Bayern. He knows it's the right place for him. And it shows his maturity, his mental acuity. And this can also be seen in his leadership qualities. At 19 years of age, he led Ajax to Champions League semi-final, and that Ajax team was glorious. What a team, the total football on display. But his leadership will bode well for Bayern's future. He could even be a Bayern captain in the future, maybe vice-captain with Joshua Kimmich, for example. And I think having that leadership experience, we've missed at the back since Alaba left. We haven't had that defensive leader who can really lead the defensive line. And de Ligt is that guy, even though at 22, he still has therefore 10 more years, etc. in the future. And that's why, even though his transfer fee may seem enormous, it's better than paying 40 million for, say, a 28-year-old. You have de Ligt for 10 years. Plus, we can also offload him and flip him if we need to. Although, given his large size, it would be difficult to flip him, of course, because he's a bit chunky. And that goes on to one of my points, is that we missed Sula now. Sula is gone. The fat boy is gone, and we need another fat boy in that defensive line. We need someone to chunk it up, and I think the Ligt, with his love for hamburgers, or his the famous story, of course, Man U rejecting him because they saw pictures of his father or something like that, and he was quite big, and they thought the Ligt would get like that in the future. Some rubbish like that. Rubbish like the Ligts probably though also. But I think that it's nice to have a chunky boy. It's cultured, it's Bayern DNA. And therefore, given that the fee won't be so enormous in the long term, he's a defensive leader. He can really shore up that centre-back position, which while has Upamecano, Hernandez, Nianzou, it's quite stacked. Nianzou hasn't been great. Upamecano was very shaky in that season. Last season we were saying Upa no Kanu at times just because of how poor he was. So I think De Ligt would be that defensive leader, the one we've lacked since Alaba. He would be a crucial player to have, and if the fee is right, if the salary is not too high, Bayern should go for it. Bayern should sign De Ligt, and right now Brazo is building a Champions League squad. Who can stop Bayern? Probably only Julian Nagelsmann, but I guess we'll find out when the season starts. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.